Ми всіх вітаємо. Поруч зі мною мій колега з громадянської мережі Опора
A
Роберт.
colleague from Opora Civic Networks, Robert Marian, who is working with data, is analyzing expenditures for political advertising, and it's clear that today we shall speak about it as well. With COVID epidemic, quite many voters get information online. Their activity has increased. We did an application, an online instrument to help us analyze how much money politicians of different levels have invested into their promotion on elections, in social networks. Let us speak of elections, social networks, and money. The technology is integrated with election process. When we're speaking of voting, internet voting, counting votes, the question of control over social networks in the election process posed a question right away. Even the most developed countries did not finally master social networks, providing for honesty and transparency of the election process, and also to prevent intervention of foreign countries into the elections. Therefore, Ukraine and other countries have a great objective to regulate the use of social networks during elections, also to create new technology and methodology ways of how to control, how to follow promotions, advertising in social networks, to prevent from false information, and also to preserve the freedom of expression on the net that we all love. Therefore, it's important to get involved. Since Facebook launched the library of political campaigning, we could participate in the monitoring of social advertising, political advertising on the Facebook, and we have developed some key issues existing in that field, and also the key services, as Krzysztof said before, not only showing data, also helping to visualize. About $12 million were spent by politicians for their promotions on Facebook. Starting from presidential elections. Over that time, over 300,000 advertising announcements were published, and the value was $10 million, which is a lot of money. And indeed, political advertising on Facebook catching up with all other means of communications and promotion. And of course, there is a number of reasons for that. First, it's cheaper. Promotion in social networks is cheaper compared to television or outdoors. There are estimates that it costs 10 times less. On the local elections, a political party, by paying $700, could have the audience 1 million voters voting for the candidate. Therefore, it's available to everyone and makes the election process more equal. I have a question. If you compare presidential and parliamentary elections, does it mean that the factor of the epidemic of coronavirus forced politicians to go online even more? The data is confirmed. Fewer meetings with the voters, fewer events, concerts, and everybody moves to the social networks. And also voters. There is a habit of them to spend more time on social networks and at home. Therefore, they can watch political advertising, and also politicians go for social networks. And the data confirms it. On the local elections, they published 120,000 ads of political content, and they have spent $6 million. In the previous years, the costs were the same as on the local elections. And this data shows that it's 3 times more active candidates, political parties, including those in social networks, compared to the past parliamentary elections. And the time frame for promotion campaign was comparable. Whether this political advertising on Facebook, does it reach its objective? Because it looks to me is there is such a magnitude of political advertising on Facebook. Are the voters ready to take it? We can watch the results and see if it works. However, if there are no other ways of communicating with the voters, we can ask the same question to the outdoors or TV ads. Those are advertising, and it works like commercials. The more people see the politician, the more they know him or her, and this especially works on social networks because politicians have Telegram channels, and there is an impression that politician talks to you personally, and it looks like this is your close friend. It's the same on social networks. Facebook makes it possible to establish direct contact. It's like a video, it's like talking directly to the voter. I think it works efficiently. Moreover, it's not very expensive. And social networks give an opportunity to target quite precisely. Every social network has great volume of the massive of data. The candidates can use it for their purposes. This is deep targeting or micro-targeting, using the data of the social network, targeting different messages on different groups of people, using age, gender, place of residency, interests. In addition, the Facebook gives an opportunity to political parties and candidates and everybody else to upload own data about their proponents. A political party may upload to Facebook the database of emails of proponents. And the Facebook will not only help target its promotion on those users and also have an algorithm of learning to find similar people similar to those, and to expand the sphere of political support of a given party. If I'm a mother, if I have 2 kids, I will be the target audience of the candidates that will promote kindergartens. Such an example on parliamentary elections of 2019, one candidate was using political advertising. He promised to improve the roads and targeted on men, and advertising children's playgrounds, promising children's playgrounds. He targeted on women. Yes, indeed. Facebook helps to statistical measure how do you promote and how the promotion is efficient during the election campaign, not waiting for the results. There is available statistics, and one can know what group of people is most actively responding. And then, after the election campaign, they can change the strategy. Let us move to see how the Facebook analyzer works. Yes, we shall have a big presentation of our new service. We have created the analyzer 1 year ago. We had this idea when Facebook published data. First, we have analyzed our data. We understood that we're giving that, and the users having no special technical education or technical skills to use that data. The messages, how much do they spend to download the data, and so and they can also analyze the data by machine readable format. Targeting by the regions, most popular targeting in Dnipropetrovsk and Lviv. interesting diagram of the quantity of advertising. On the diagram, you can see 3 peaks: first peak, second peak, and third. On those 3 peaks, there are elections in Ukraine which happen. First peak, presidential; second peak, extraordinary parliamentary; and the third one, the regular local elections. From that diagram, we can see how the promotion of social networks gains popularity. In addition, one can analyze the library of political advertising on Facebook by keywords. If you're interested, we created that service when the pandemic began of coronavirus. It was interesting to follow how politicians at the pandemic are speaking on the topic of the pandemic, maybe manipulating, and you can have a search on all their ads, and you can see how the page promotes. Here is the page of the presidential candidate in 2019, leader of one of the political forces, which was also popular in parliamentary elections. How did he promote and use the political advertising? He published 2,500 ads. It was a record at that time, and all the ads were targeted on the users older 55 and who did not live in the Western regions. Quite many such cases. It's interesting to find out, to analyze, and to use. We can group that, we can add several pages, aggregate the instrument, aggregating all data, counting statistically how the political party is focusing attention on particular audiences. The technologies are not idle. When we've been creating that service, overall, the library of political advertising, 100 political announcements, and this has increased 3 times. 2 data analytics with no special skills of programming, and they don't cope with such a function and works quite slowly. Therefore, Opera network will present the first beta version of the new analyzer that will soon be available to everyone. This is our new analyzer. The main feature is that it's fast. By keywords of search, 300,000 announcements in just a few seconds. The necessary announcement, who promotes and how. Now we have repeated elections of head of the Chernivtsi mayor. Quickly, in few clicks, we can have a look. How do they promote on the second round of the elections? We choose the Chernivtsi Oblast, and we say we're interested in the last month, 26th of November, 26th of October, before the end of elections. We launch search. Our instrument shows the table and visualizes, showing screenshots. Immediately showing all ads in the social network of Facebook targeted on Chernivtsi Oblast. The journalists and voters, anyone interested in the election process, it was very convenient to analyze and to have a look who spends. You could have a look on all the ads, sorting them by casts, and to have a look who spent the most money. For example, we have Chernivtsi, and we can switch to the announcement when it was launched, how much money was spent, what was the target audience, micro target or not micro target, how many reviews. If necessary, we can switch on the video from that page with no moving to Facebook to look in that announcement, and we can study details information about that page. Also, promotion was targeted on Chernivtsi Oblast, and we can see by age and gender. This is beta version. This was not completed, and there are new tunings by categories. every advertising announcement by topics, how politicians have used different topics, which topics they have spoken for, have experience of visualization, how much money will be spent, what page every day. And also we have a problem. By legislation, political promotion is not regulated. In the election code, it was not regulated. Although the Central Election Commission established the need to mention funds separately spent for promotion online, in lack of absence of government regulator to monitor that, to regulate that, and to analyze all data, the social networks, internet, to hold liable a politician for breaking that would not be possible. Uh, Therefore, it's place number one where candidates vote on the day of elections, which is a silence day, supposed to be a silence day. And some mayors have spent on the day of elections, even the entire budget, $9,000, of which 5,000 was spent when it was prohibited. And holding them liable is not possible. And such dishonest candidates can't be detected with our instrument. There is a good news. This instrument developed based on open source. It will be available with open code, and as soon as we complete it, that code can be found on Opera Hub. If you would like to make similar instrument in your country with your data, and in your country, you can simply publish, and it will be open. Thank you for this exclusive information. When we can expect that instrument completely online? Is available online. Some functions are not available. You can access the website opera.org and study the first functionality of that instrument, and also to, to the extent of our progress, we shall add new functions. Please make use of it. Shall we work together?
Я бачу, є вже запитання. Отже, цікавляться наші глядачі, чи є
So our
дослідження, чи
viewers
комунікація
are
політиків
interested
з
if there are any
учасниками, я так розумію, соціальних мереж
studies.
відбувається односторонньо, чи є все
So it's unilateral communications, or
одним словом,
is there any room for the feedback?
говорять, так, чи вони
Do politicians just talk? Do they advertise themselves? Or do they get any feedback? And do you study that? We didn't make a wide research. However, by types of advertisings, mainly unilateral, when politicians call the voters and telling them something. There are quite many political forces and candidates using different forms of feedback, registration of their questionnaires, of proponents, creating websites and services to collect opinions about the problems of interest to them. And this is found during elections. There are services in Odessa, and the same services during the pandemic of coronavirus, collecting help for the voters, asking who needs help. It was advertised through political promotion, bilateral communications via social networks, and indeed, some of the candidates communicate with their voters in the comments, for example. But this looks like gathering personal data. Indeed, this is gathering personal data. Every time you complete the form, please look carefully how the data will be used. Is there any data to use, any policy to use data? Because the data can be used later on with no your knowledge to target political advertising on you, or maybe for any other reason. Thank you very much indeed. Another question from Krzysztof, a technical question. How the data was collected? Was it scrapped from the web? Whether access was provided through official API? Thank you for the question. The data was collected via Facebook API, official API of the Facebook, which gives all the data in the machine readable format, all the information which is statistical text information. And some of that information for the web service to look nice, we did screenshots of their advertising. Therefore, that's scrapping. It's with open code. That code is available, and one can scrap all the announcements in the country.
Ну і окремо дякую так, певно, за те, що воно в open source, і власне, що можна буде мультиплікувати
Thank you very much, because it's an open source, and so Ukrainian experience can be used and in IT departments in other countries, and all our instruments, we're trying to put them in for general use, yes. And also there is a question about, there are some other questions maybe I can answer.
Ага, цікаво, чи ці дані
The data
will become available.
will become available.
Питання про те, що
The question is, Facebook sometimes changes API. Will the data be, will there be access to the data? We are quite flexible. Even if Facebook is changing the rules, and even if it changes its API, right away we can respond to that, and we can send it to the service, and we will try to use the best and data. So it's not the problem of the change of API, but the analyzer, it was working on the API, and API Facebook changed the rules about 5 times. So we changed the algorithm of collecting data and for our service to be available and to work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's advertise once again. Advertise your website where we can see politicians and who spent the most for political advertisement during their campaign. How much about the targeting topics and focus groups. So we advertise this. Come to Opera site website, and we give reviews about political advertisement. We make research how much they spend. Read our materials, and Opera had a study during last elections and on these issues. Some pages are using the bot forms. There was an event, maybe you know, that last in spring 2019, Facebook blocked some pages because they collected, they used the bot forms to promote their messages, their notes. So there was Andriy Palchevsky, we noticed, and he was running for the mayor. You saw the ratings in Facebook, and the Palchevsky was winning from Klitschko, or was behind just 1%. And they told the rating of Palchevsky will be like Joe Biden's rating. So we analyzed and we used our instruments, and we saw that they were advertising several pages, anonymous pages like Free Ukraine, Ukraine Online, and Association of Tech Space of Kiev, some kind of pages like that. So we went further. We started to dig, and we found out that all those promotions they were using bot farms. And we downloaded all the comments, about 7,000 of them, and through and analyzed those comments, and we were able to identify that the network of the bots that were commenting those messages, and they liked them. So we have a question. There is a question, and they put likes. Okay. If Facebook deletes messages, do you keep them in your database? Messages or advertisement? If you speak about advertisement, all advertisement is preserved in the library of political advertisement for 7 years. We'll keep the data for longer because we don't have a limitation as to data preservation, keeping data, and it's history, and some students will write the thesis about this. And in the end, I would like to tell you about the bottle farm, and we found out it, and we found real bottle, we real people, and there were a lot of there were known bloggers from Poland and from other countries, and we wrote about that, and Facebook responded to our analysis quickly, and in 10 days they blocked all those pages, all those fake accounts, and they stopped publication of those fake public opinion polls. So that was a small mini success. It's not a mini success, it's quite a big success. Okay,